Hey everybody, it's Brian Jenkins with Circuit Crush TV, and this is going to be the fourth video in our series on the Keybot coding education robot for Arduino STEM. That's what they call it. And the first three videos were the unboxing of the robot and then assembly. And now we're going to dig into the IDE and some programming. Honestly, I haven't done a ton of programming or playing around with the IDE or programming the bot. I've done some stuff, but not a ton. So let's talk first about installing the software, because the software Nixly, this little app right here, and it comes on the CD that I showed you in video 1. And the CD, if you pop it in and open it up on a desktop or laptop computer, you'll see that it has a zip folder, one for Windows, one for Mac. And installing the software, honestly, is not the most straightforward thing in the world. I had to copy this zip file over, and then I had to extract it, because all these other folders and files weren't here. So I created a folder and I put that in the folder, and I had to extract it here with WinRAR, or you can use WinZip. And when it extracted it, it created all these other folders and files. And it doesn't install, it doesn't use Windows installer like a traditional program. It's a Java runtime environment. So it won't work unless you have the exe file with all these other folders and files here. And you notice it comes with the Arduino IDE. You'll need to install the Arduino IDE probably first. I already have the Arduino IDE installed. And it's a dated version. I think the latest version is 1.8.9 or something like that. But it comes with 1.8.6. I would just suggest going to the Arduino website and installing the IDE first before you do this. But when you first open the program, to open it, you double-click the exe file. And the first time I ran it, it was actually in Chinese, kind of like this. So if that happens to you and you can't read Chinese, then you're going to have to come up here and just click this little drop down. You've got English, Spanish, and I guess 2 different versions of Chinese. I don't know, but I speak English, so I made it English. The IDE, it's really just really simple. So you just take these blocks and you drag them out. There's in, out for reading, writing to pins, stuff like that. We have some control stuff. So here's where you do like your for loops and switch statements and delays. We got some math. Text, this prints characters on the screen or the serial monitor. I haven't really used any of these yet. Lists, logic, serial port stuff, and I haven't used any of these yet either. Communication, this looks like it has something to do with the infrared receiver. Again, I haven't played with that or these code blocks yet. And then sensor, more stuff I haven't played with yet. Actuators for servos, it looks like. I haven't used that either. Monitor, looks like it's stuff for LCDs and things like that. Variables and functions. And really, I've done a few simple programs right out of the book to test this and see how it works. One was blinking an LED, and then the fourth and last one I've done so far has to do with driving the motors. The robot will move forward, then backward, then spin to the right, spin to the left, stop, and repeat. Here, if I wanted to say blink an LED, we'll start with the simple stuff, and I'm taking this right out of the book. I can drag these blocks around, and here I can designate pin 11, or whatever pin I want, and we can write high or low. And then, of course, we want a small delay, so we want to drag out a delay, and they kind of click together just like that. And you can copy, click it together, and this time we want to turn it off. And I'm going to copy that. And boom, there's your program. And you could also zoom in and out. I'm using the scroll wheel on my mouse to zoom in and out. And if you want to move around, you kind of click and drag. I can drag this and move it anywhere. And another neat little feature of this IDE that I like is if you're just learning to code, say you have a child and they're learning to code, or you want to teach them, you can click this and it shows you kind of what the code would look like in Arduino. So here we have setup, and we see we set up pin 11 as an output, and then our loop, we have digital write high, and then low. And then come back here to look at the block. The program I did, the other one, the latest one, and I'm going to show you a little video of this here, right here, in a second, with the robot moving forward, backwards, spinning left, spinning right. Here's what it does. And I'm going to pull up the program here. Okay, so this is the program. I don't know why that happened. I'm going to drag this down here. And here we see it's a little bit more complicated. And actually, these 5 things here are actually functions. And you write these functions with this do. Let me see if I could find that here. Okay, so here if you click on functions, you have all the functions you've written. Okay, we wrote one for back, front, left, right, stop. And then you could write new ones. So if I wanted to write another function, let's say, I could drag that out. And I'm just going to duplicate that and just drag it over here. And I could call this anything. I could call this sample. And there's other settings associated with it that I really haven't played with, so I'm going to leave those alone. But, and if we go back over here and look at functions, we see our new function we wrote right here. So looking back at the block code, we see we have our functions, and then these are just the calls to the functions with a short delay. So let's get rid of our sample function here because it's actually not part of the program. But the bulk of this program is functions, and indeed we can see if we click on the code, we have a bunch of functions: left, front, right, back, stop. And then we get into setup, and then we loop, and then we call our functions front, back, left, etc. And it just goes on and on and on, moving back and forth, left to right. To call the functions, we just kind of drag them out here, the ones that we wrote, and do that. Now, I already have this program loaded on the robot, and one thing I didn't like about this, there is, you can't see it, but there's a switch on the robot's main control board, on-off switch. So if I wanted to run this program, I have batteries in here now. I got 6 AA's. I can turn on the switch, set it on the floor, it'll run. But when I plug this in, even with the switch off, it starts running. And this is hooked to the USB port in my computer, and I don't know how much current exactly these motors draw, but it's not running quite full force like it was before, which you saw in the video. There's no way to stop it. So when I first did this, I had it sitting on my desk, and I plugged it in, and the darn thing almost drove right off the desk. So, little word of warning, and then of course here you would pick your board, I forgot to mention, and then your port. Okay, I believe we are on COM9 actually. The robot's running because the program has already been loaded. I'm going to go ahead and unplug that. So a little word of caution there. If you have a program loaded in there that involves moving the bot, it's going to fire up as soon as you plug it into your computer and run, even if you have the switch off. So yeah, that's my first impression of it. It looks really something that kids could get into, especially with this graphical programming language here. And then you can always view the code too, which is nice to help you learn, and you could map what the blocks are to the code, which is a really good learning tool. The installation and getting this to run is kind of clunky. And I haven't had a chance to do anything really more interesting with this. I'm going to go and I'm going to do some of the other sample programs out of the book that involve the motors and then the ultrasonic sensor and some other parts of the bot. And then I'm going to see if I can come up with something interesting, something original on my own to share with you guys. But I just wanted to show you the basic gist of the IDE and how the robot is programmed and give you my first thoughts on it. So anyway, I'll see you in the next video. If you're interested in Arduino and microcontrollers, you'll love how to get started with Arduino in 1 day or less. Get instant access now by clicking the link below in the description.